Welcome back to another episode of Cappuccino Chat. This time we're talking zero trust and why you should care about it. So, zero trust. What is it and why should you care? Let's start with what it is. It's kind of a rehash of the old saying of deny by default. And we've kind of gotten away from that. And I think that's why zero trust is really coming back. And zero trust mindset, if you will, or framework, however you want to put it, is really going to be a deny by default on steroids. So let me describe. So deny by default, if we go back, is by default, the person or service or program basically is denied to do anything. So think of it as if you hire a new employee and when they walk in the door, you don't just let them in and let them back to the back and show, you need to identify them, what should they have access to, those kinds of things. So deny by default is by default everything is not allowed. And then you specifically open up or allow just what they need to complete their job functions or tasks. So if somebody is in accounting, of course, they're going to need access to the accounting systems, but they don't necessarily need access to HR unless that's also one of their tasks. Or they won't need access to operations and sales because that's not their job. So again, we want to just give them what they want. Where zero trust kind of goes with this is it takes it a step further and says, okay, so you hired this new employee. What computer or computers are you assigning them? Let's just give them access to those computers and no other computers. On a Windows domain, theoretically, you can log on any computer that you want. So with this zero trust, it would be, again, hey, I trust this person to log on this computer, but not on the rest of the computers. Zero trust again takes that even further and says, okay, that person's allowed to log on to that computer, but they can only access these 5, 6, 7 programs. If they try to install, run, do anything of these other programs, it won't allow it because it is not trusted for that person. Now, why should you care about this? Well, this is where kind of security is having to go to stay one step ahead of those cyber criminals that are out there. Um, and let's just say you get a link in an email. We've all seen them, a phishing link. Now, we all know most of us won't click on them because you can see that they're poorly written and so on and so forth. But it does happen. It just happened a couple weeks ago to a client of ours, to someone who should have known better. But they clicked on it and did some stuff anyways. So it does happen. So if something like that does happen and it tries to install something in the back end without the person's knowledge, which a lot of this malware and ransomware, that's what they're doing. They're getting control of your machine by installing some programs or using some different programs against you. So let's just say they're trying to install something. Again, in that zero trust environment, because that zero trust is locked down, whatever that you clicked on, it won't have a chance to activate and actually install because it is not an allowed application. So that would save you from it. Also, some programs still require administrative rights, like QuickBooks, for instance. QuickBooks really likes to have admin rights, otherwise it can act a little funny or just not work. So but we don't want to give normal users administrative rights so that they can do anything. Because again, remember, if that person clicks on anything, the program that they clicked on that's trying to install is going to run with their same privilege level. So in other words, they'll have full admin rights to the machine. That malware will have full admin rights to that machine, which is bad. So typically the full payload will be able to be deployed. Whereas if they were a lockdown user, yes, it may cause some damage, but it may not release the full payload because they're not an administrator. So it all just depends on the virus, the ransomware, the malware, and that kind of thing. So again, in this zero trust method, you can actually set up rules so that certain programs that person is authorized to use can run with elevated privileges. So that will again help you lock down your environment to protect you from these new types of attacks that are coming on. Something else that's going on is President Biden, in one of his executive orders, has talking about cybersecurity, has basically mentioned zero trust. Now, zero trust is kind of an insider term to those of us in the IT industry. So it was kind of unique to see that and hear that he actually mentioned that. So what that's going to do is he's basically telling the federal government to start implementing these zero trust frameworks, mindset, if you will, and to basically mandate it going down. So basically, then anyone doing business with the federal government is going to be needing to work on this zero trust framework, if you will, which then means state and local governments, because those all roll up, right? So they go. So that means anybody working for state and local government is going to have to start. So it's eventually going to start coming down to all of us. I mean, if you're in the heating and air conditioning profession and you have contracts or bids for working on city hall or federal buildings, state buildings within the state government, you are going to eventually be mandated to follow these same rules, or they can't do business with you. That's kind of where this CMMC is coming from. On another topic, way off topic, but they are mandating those with federal contracts to do certain things and prove it before they're allowed to do business with them. So a lot of people are rushing to do that. So I see that being pushed down to the rest of us via some of these other executive orders and mandates that are being done from the federal government. It's going to eventually push down. Now, zero trust is a good thing. We've all kind of gotten lazy over the years with different things, and just practicing better security hygiene is always a good thing. So a lot of these things don't necessarily cost money, if you will. It's going to be time spent and thinking through specifically each employee's job. What is it that they need access to? So again, in that zero trust model. So do they need access to get on the internet? Well, depending upon their job, I'm going to say no. Now, does that mean that they need email? Yes. So email is trusted for this person, but getting to the internet necessarily isn't. Now, most jobs do require some kind of research, getting on the internet. But again, do they need all of the internet or certain pieces of the internet? So this is where this mindset kind of goes. We've talked about some of these pieces before. Now they've really kind of put a name to it with this zero trust, and a lot of things fall under that. So if you have any questions about zero trust, about your overall security, I had someone come to us and say, hey, he tried talking to his current IT provider and asking the question, hey, do I have enough security? And they came back with, oh yeah, you're good. You've got it all. You've got what you need. It didn't leave a very good taste in the gentleman's mouth. So he reached out, right? So again, there's never enough security, right? But you have to get to a certain level and know what your level of acceptable risk is. One of the best ways that I've heard of so far coming out with this to help reduce our overall cyber risk is this zero trust mindset. So again, please feel free to reach out with any questions. You can always call us at 760-770-5200.